Hundreds of birders around New England have flocked to Georgetown since last week.
It's one of the most massive birds in the world, too. I mean, it's one of the biggest raptors with a wingspan of up to 8 feet.
Hoping to catch a rare glimpse of the first ever Steller's sea eagle in Maine.
So I've never actually heard one in person, but the Steller sounds kind of more like a dinosaur as opposed to a whistle, like a... It kind of has this...
Bird expert Dan Gardoqui didn't want to miss out.
The Sheepscot River kind of dumps into the bay there, and there it was, perched on this little island on the top of a spruce, the little spruce which is bent over from the weight of this massive bird. And we got to put it in our spotting scopes and binoculars, and everyone had a great look at it. A good solid 45 minutes, I'd say, it was there.
It's estimated there are fewer than 4,000 of these eagles in the world.
This is definitely a threatened species. That's probably maybe 1,500 breeding pairs in the whole world. There's not actually a ton known about it. It nests in super remote ledges and like crazy difficult places to access. So there's actually not, we don't have the best grasp on their population, but we do know that it's a bird that, it's a large bird. It's a bird that's being, its habitat is being destroyed in a lot of areas for a lot of reasons: hydroelectric power, oil and gas development offshore. It also has some issues with lead poisoning from other parts of the world which happens to a lot of raptors by eating fish that have eaten lead and other things. So it's had some struggles for sure.
This particular Steller sea eagle has had quite a journey.
This is kind of like a COVID eagle.
It's believed to first have been sighted in Alaska in August of 2020.
And that was a pretty rare sighting, not insanely rare because these eagles normally are in the kind of Kamchatka Peninsula of Russia, northern Japan, South Korea, China. So it wasn't terribly far from there. But then a bird that we think was the same bird was spotted in Texas, which is extremely unusual. We're talking 5,000 miles off course.
It was later seen in Quebec and New Brunswick. Right before Christmas, it showed up in Massachusetts, which was the first confirmed sighting of this species ever reported in the lower 48.
Kind of was there on the 20th, and then radio silence. No one knew where it was, and I think it was around the 30th. It showed up as a little late, almost like a New Year's Eve present to Maine birders, and there it was in near Georgetown, Maine.
How do we know it's the same bird?
Some bird species has, especially when they're this big, we see coloration on their body and we see distinct markings. So this bird has this particular spot, I believe it's on the left wing, like a white spot after its big white patch and its dark brownish black wings. And plus, it's just so rare. The odds of seeing two of them would be even crazier.
Why this bird is roaming so far from home is harder to say.
It's way off course. It's not where it, quote unquote, should be. But that being said, variation is also a norm in biology. Things move. There are vagrants. We call them vagrant species, or vagrant individuals, and they do happen a lot. Actually, quite regularly. Often in the late fall here in Maine. This fall we had an ash-throated flycatcher, which is a bird a few thousand miles out of its range. We had a gray kingbird in Biddeford that normally is in the Bahamas a couple of weeks ago. So it happens, especially sometimes the bigger birds, a lot of the seabirds, depending on wind, depending on weather. And sometimes, they just move and try to go somewhere else. They're dispersers, they're vagrants. Some people think they could have a navigational challenge, but who knows? It's really hard. We're just projecting and guessing, frankly.
The bird may be able to adapt to life in Maine, but Gardoqui is not eager to make that prediction.
That there are people out there who are concerned about maybe this bird's getting too much attention, or are we going to love it to death? This bird tends to be perched far away in river bodies, on bays, where you can't actually access it unless you got up there in a boat in its face. So people have been super respectful in giving it a lot of space, and I think it's which is great.
He does encourage people to be curious and look for the Steller sea eagle. They might be surprised what they find.
We live in a world that is much more than human. We are just one of many, many species. And to get to see species from far away, I think it's pretty special. I think as global citizens, we're connected to birds. They're connected to us. So I think it's good to give them a little bit of attention. Not too much.